Thank you. Hare Krishna. We are going to do the continuing with our Bhakti Sastri and the Nectar of Devotion. We are going to start with chapter 5. But before we start, we offer our Mangalacharan prayers and then we can get started. And thank you all for those who joined online as well. My gratitude. Om Ajnanathimirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Matsamo Nasti Papatma Naparadhi Chakaschana Parihare Pilajjame Kimbruve Purushottama Na Prema Shravanadi Bhaktir Apiva Yogotava Vaishnavo Jnanam Va Shubha Karma Vakyadaho Sajjatirapyastiva Hinarthadika Sadhake Tvai Tata Yachedyamula Sati He Gopi Jana Vallabha Yatayate Ha Mada Shaivama Ha Mada Shaivama Ha Mada Shaivama. Hare Krishna. Preeti, Vicky, Ja. Yes. Thank you for joining, and then those who joined online. Jambavati, Smita, Sukomala, Sunita, and Surendra Krishna. Thank you for joining, Laksh. We start today's class with chapter 5 and chapter 6 of Nectar of Devotion. We'll do a quick recap of what we have done so far, so it'll give you some sort of continuation. We started off going over the Nectar of Devotion in terms of the overall scheme. There are how many divisions? There are 4 divisions: Eastern, Southern, Western, and Northern. And in the Eastern division, we have, or the ocean is divided into 4 divisions. So the ocean of devotional service is divided into 4, which is the Eastern division and the divisions that I mentioned. In the Bhakti Sastri class, we will do only the, which division? Southern, Northern, Western, Eastern. Thank you. We will do the Eastern division. Like that, like an ocean, there are waves in the ocean. So we have 4 waves in the Nectar of Devotion, which is called Samanya Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti. And we are, the Samanya Bhakti, or the devotional service, is covered in Samanya Bhakti is covered in chapters, is covered in Introduction, Chapter 1 and Chapter 1. Chapter 2 through Chapter 6 talks of Sadhana 16. And then, and then Bhava Bhakti is 17 and 18, Prema Bhakti is 19. So we do the 19 chapters of Nectar of Devotion for this class. Then we discussed the basic fundamentals principle of Nectar of Devotion, which is the famous verse, Anyavilashita Shunyam. That is the most foundational verse. We discussed it at length. Please memorize that verse and understand it, because that is going to come in. Thank you. If you are a Gaudiya Vaishnava, you should at least, we should know why I'm here. What is the Paribhasha Sutra? What is pure bhakti to Krishna means, and how it is, why, my raison d'etre actually, why am I here to kind of, do I come to temple just to see the deities and go back, and what is the benefit? And what is it that, if spiritual life actually has the same quality of happiness as material life, then why do we even take up to spiritual life? So those questions are deeply answered in that particular Anyavilashita Shunyam verse. So please take your time to deeply understand that verse. And then we discussed about the 6 influences of pure devotional service, Kleshagni, Shubhada, so on and so forth. We discussed about that. And then in chapters 3 and 4, we did go a little bit into the different levels of devotees, and then who are eligible, who are Kanishta, who are Uttama, who are Madhyam. We discussed that. And then chapter 5 today, we start off with the purity of devotional service. This is a very important philosophical thing. Yes? Correct. So chapter 3 was how liberation is something that is not as important as one thinks. Most of the other philosophical schools think that liberation from material existence, somehow or other, if I am liberated from matter, somehow if I can not feel the pains of this material existence, and everyone in this world will feel it. It doesn't matter if you are an ant or if you are Lord Brahma. The gradations of pain, the gradations or the amount of facilities you have might vary, but in the end, it doesn't change. Krishna says in the Gita that if you are an ant in the material world or the demigods in the heaven, you are influenced or conditioned by the modes of material nature. They are not going to leave you alone. And liberation is thought of a means of overcoming the modes of material nature. And somehow that seems to be the ultimate goal of life. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that by purely serving Krishna, but again, I may have a million other desires in my heart, and that is why this topic that we are going to discuss today is pretty important, because we need to discuss it at length. Otherwise, we will not be sure whether we are A, qualified for pure devotional service, or if pure devotional service even exists, or B, is the last thing, is it even effective? And what is being promised, it seems too fantastic or too unattainable, so let's not even forget it. So these things are to be really discussed at length. And then the chapter 6 today is going to be a little bit more practical. For the discuss theory, now we'll go to the labs, practical labs. We'll discuss that aspect as well. So liberation, we discussed we should not seek liberation, because the pure devotional service to Krishna is so intensely pleasing. The devotee is not worried about liberation. Thank you. Thank you, Laksh. A devotee is not worried about liberation. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter, Arjuna discusses at length about the modes of material nature. That these modes of material nature, they actually influence. And if you are in the mode of ignorance, then you have certain qualities. You are indolent, sleepy, you are, there is madness, there is delusion, and you can see that time and again. There are ample number of, don't try it at home, but there are ample number of YouTube videos that tell about how traffic cops stop people who are inebriated or drunk, and their behavior is outrageous. Yes or yes? They shouldn't be driving in the first place. But after they are caught, it's completely outrageous. Because the mode of ignorance is such, mode of passion is such, mode of goodness, there are many things like this that Krishna discusses, and how the pure living entity is harassed by these modes. Even in the mode of goodness, Krishna says it is really much better than mode of ignorance and passion, but it's not enough. Just like if you are in a prison, we have grade C cell, which is pretty horrible. Grade C cell is that one cell should hold 2 people, there are 5 people. And then, they are vicious people, they don't sleep at night. It's really horrible. You're like, warden, this is terrible. I need to upgrade myself. This is hard life in prison. Warden says, okay, you do some things. Then you will get into grade B cell. I mean, like, grade B cell is a little better, because there you have 2 separate beds and only 2 rooms and 2 people in one room, and there is a little bit of internet time once in a while, and then there are some good books coming from library. Oh my God, this is great, this is amazing. And then after you get into grade B cell, then you are like, I heard there is a grade A cell. There is air conditioning for like 1 hour a day, and there is like better food coming in. Warden, let me get into grade A. And then, but the whole Bhagavatam says, don't try to upgrade yourself in the prison, try to get out of the prison. So when we talk of this, then Arjuna asks Krishna, how do I overcome this pushes of material nature? Krishna says, Mam chayo avyavicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samtityetan brahma bhoyaya kalpate. He says in the 14th chapter, 26th verse, that whoever performs my pure bhakti, the bhakti onto me, then they are already beyond the modes of material nature. It is like if you are in the prison and you are complete. This is a very crude example, I'm taking it. If you are in the prison, you are always connected to the governor somehow or other. You are an intimate friend or relation of the governor, and the governor is watching you from the outside into the prison. Then you are safe whichever prison you are transferred to. Yes or yes? You don't. And if you really are saying that a just person, I will just wait my term. I'll be happy in any prison as long as I'm connected to the governor or being in good terms with governor. It doesn't matter. And I don't want to ask him a favor just because he's my friend. I'll suffer my own punishment, whatever I have to, till he allows me to sign that petition saying that this prisoner can be released. It is his prerogative, not my prerogative. Liberation means that it becomes my prerogative. Here saying, Governor, I have been serving prison so many years, now you get me out. Instead, we are saying here, nope, whatever. I am happy as long as I have your mercy, as long as I am connected to you, whichever prison you put into me, I'm fine. And Bhagavatam, if you said this is This is what I am saying. Bhagavatam has the same place again and again. The exalted devotees in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, they are never saying, Lord, enough. How long? I mean, I've been serving you for many years now. It's time that, you also repay the favor. You say, I am obliged, I remember you, I am grateful for your service. Nothing is happening. The devotee never thinks like that. He says, doesn't matter, it's your prerogative wherever you want to place me, but as long as I'm engaged in your devotional service, I'm good. And if you read Bhagavatam, you'll see theme and again. And that's why Rupa Goswami says, don't worry about liberation, or don't even ask for liberation. And chapter 4 entirely discusses about the Rupa Goswami spent so many verses. As I said before, Rupa Goswami takes time to put in a concept, and he'll include 1, maximum 2 verses for supporting his statement from scriptures. He lets out all 27 to 30 verses on why you shouldn't seek liberation, and many different facets. It can be a whole PhD thesis if he can write it. But on Bhakti Sastri level, we should just know the concept. One of the other things before we go to chapter 5 is one of the devotees mentioned, nectar of devotion is tough. I will not dispute that statement. And the reason for disputing the statement is not that the content is too esoteric, that in some areas we are. I do. So the content is too esoteric, is too much, I can't understand. You are right to a certain extent. When we move to the southern part, even Bhava and Prema Bhakti is little esoteric, but southern part is outrightly esoteric. Rupa Goswami talks of, we talk of Bhakti Rasa, but the Rasa he divides into Rati, and then he talks about so many Ratis, what is Thai, what is Sanchari, he goes into so many dynamics of Prema that it can become esoteric and we will not be able to grasp the concepts. Fair enough. But Nectar of Devotion, first part is for beginners. So while there are areas that can be quote-unquote new or groundbreaking from a philosophical perspective. Groundbreaking is, liberation is sought by pretty much every other school, be it Ramanuja, Madhva, Shankara. All these, they say liberation is the ultimate goal of life. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and that's it. That is your purpose. But Gaudiya Vaishnava Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blazed a whole other path on philosophy, saying that we don't care about liberation. So that needs some time understanding. That needs time. And that's why Rupa Goswami, he realized that this is going to be a pretty controversial statement amongst other philosophy schools. So he goes about trying to establish the Siddhanta that we are not seeking liberation. But sir, I want liberation. Then go ask Krishna. Again, we don't want to get into the topic of asking Krishna for material desires. But if there is any desire, it is not that he cannot fulfill your desires. He has, Are Baba, he can give Dhruva his own planet. He can give Brahma his own planet. And that he is also not giving. A portion of his portion of the portion of the portion of portion is giving that. And what can Krishna give then? The intense sweetness, the beauty of the absolute truth, what can he give you? When the portion of his portion can give a planet to Dhruva or Brahma. Because Brahma doesn't deal with Krishna much. He deals with Mahavishnu, who is his boss. Think about it. So Rasa Tattva gets into this very esoteric personal relationship with Supreme Absolute Truth, Sri Krishna. And that's where we have, if we are fixed in this Siddhanta, then we will be fixed in Bhakti. It doesn't matter what changes come in life, you will be very steady in your devotional service because you understand the Siddhanta of why you are doing what you are doing. If you don't get that, you are chanting the same mantra, you'll get bored. You'll be like, there is nothing here. So reading Prabhupada's books actually gives that strength, that intelligence to say, it's hard and we can. And that's where we come to purity of devotional service. This is where we discuss. Questions? Mataji.
Hare Krishna. In chapter 4, we read, if one has no idea of the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord, then there is no chance of them chanting or hearing his transcendental activities. So, do we need desire or knowledge, or how do we get the idea of the form of the Lord?
Excellent question. Thank you for asking that. So there are 2 or 3 ways. One is the inherent faith that can come, that can develop somehow by association with other devotee. There can be an accidental revelation of knowledge, as in like you are just minding your own business. You're just not bothered. You're walking past the temple and you see the form of the Lord. Your senses are attracted to that. So there is that accidental knowledge. There is the faith that comes in from bhakti. Then the other thing would be mercy of the devotee. The reason is because the question of how does one get bhakti in the heart is a very fascinating question. It's a long topic, but suffice to say, somehow or other, that's why Rupa Goswami says, Yena tena prakarena, somehow or other, manaha Krishna niveshayet. That fix your mind on Krishna. So for some people, Bhakti Devi manifests in the heart being merciful to something that they have done in the past or some faith. For some, Bhakti Devi doesn't manifest fully. Then the knowledge aspect, intellectual, I'm an intellectual, I need to read books, I need to get into this, and I want to discover God by my own power. That is a speculative path. For those, you can never actually come to understand the path of Krishna. There are many verses in Bhagavatam that mentions that. So it is through great fortune that one gets in contact with this personality is the absolute truth. He is a medium-sized personality, but nevertheless, he is the absolute truth, and my bhakti or my love has to be reposed in him. Comes after many. There is no way to know what did I do in the past to achieve it. But today I have achieved it. That's my great fortune. For some, they don't. It takes time. For some, they might be going to path of karma, then they will go to path of jnana. Then after bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prabhu. The Krishna says that after many births as jnanis, then I need to surrender to this particular personality who's on the altar here. So because the innumerable number of souls have innumerable number of past baggages and past karma, it is not a prescribed method that you get it done. I mean, like you can ask Preeti Gaurangi in Stanford, there is a method to get it done. You cannot go and say, I led a rebel army in Congo, so give me admission into Stanford. It doesn't work. But with spiritual path, because Krishna says there is a path of karma, path of jnana, and path of bhakti, and a combination of both, there can be not a path where you can come, this is God. Is that helpful?
Yeah. And a follow-up question is bhakti, from my understanding, bhakti is more rare, harder, and potentially has more obstacles and sufferings than the path of liberation. I think that's what people's incorrect perception is, especially impersonalists. So then, why do bhaktas pursue it?
Sorry, knowing why the other paths or the path of bhakti is troublesome or the path of other paths are difficult? I didn't get your question.
I think the other paths, personally, I think they are more difficult because there's a lot of scope of getting derailed. But from their perspective, the impersonalists, bhakti, even in Bhagavad Gita, it's very rare to even get to the path of pursue liberation, and even amongst that, it's rare for someone to come to bhakti. So, like,
That's a good question, because, and often the charge is those who are not on the path of bhakti, they will say, or the other flipping other side is, bhakti is only for beginners. What do you guys do? Chanting? Big deal. I do yoga, I do asanas, I can control breath, I have mind control, I have the powers of concentration, and we light up 5 fires in the summer and stand in them, and we are neck deep in cold water in winter. So it's, and then for those on the path of the bhakti, they'll be like, what are you guys doing when he can be achieved through chanting? When the Lord can be achieved through chanting, why are we doing what we are doing? So Arjuna asked this exact same question. Do you want to know what answer Krishna gave? All right. 12:1, please, Bhagavad Gita. We will quickly get into it. We have things to cover. I'm really going with question and answers. A, to satisfy, make sure that we have all the questions answered. B is, we have to cover the content, but it's not so deep that we will not do it within time. Kindly repeat after me. Oh, one more line up. Thank you. Kindly repeat after me. Arjuna Vacha Evam Satata Yuktaye Bhaktastvam Paryupasate Echapyaksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittama. Mataji, translation, please. Do the translation.
Arjun inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
Because they say you guys are having it easy, this is all for kids, bhakti is just for kids, and we are more mature, and then we are saying you guys are wasting your time in austerities, who are better? So let's do the answer, let's look up the answer. Next verse, please. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. Preeti Gaurangi. Translation. Then Laksh.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect.
Thank you. Next verse, and then we'll stop. We'll go back to chapter 5. It'll be 3 and 4. So that's the reason we find it. Okay. Etvaksharamanirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha Kutastam achalam dhruvam Sanniyamyendriyagramam Sarvatra samabuddhayaha Te prapnuvanti mameva Sarvabhuta hite rataha.
But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engage in the welfare of all, at last achieve me.
Thank you. So Krishna is very clear about, impersonal versus personal. He says those who are personal form is easy. You can relate nicely to Krishna. His transcendental activities, his childish, naughty behavior, so on and so forth, they actually capture the heart. But if you try to remove the conception of personal from God is impersonal, so I have to force myself to think in terms of impersonality, and then I have to go merge with him. It becomes a very and then Krishna says, you do all those things, but then you true all these things, the perception of senses, all pervading, controlling various senses, being equally at last achieve me. Why at last? Do it before. Bhakti is saying do it now. But Krishna is saying Bahunam Janmana. If you want to do this process, you'll take a long time to achieve me. It's like going on a staircase versus an elevator, which is faster. If it is a 100-story building, nobody would take stairs. All right. Yes, Laksh. That's the last question, and then we'll go to chapter 5.
Thank you so much. So Prabhuji, as you mentioned about the first question, like faith, knowledge and mercy of a pure devotee is important. So, can we say that mercy is more powerful because there's an instant when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw an uneducated Brahmana and he was crying reading the Bhagavad Gita, no knowledge, just watching the pictures.
I agree.
And also there is a case like when somebody gets knowledge, they get puffed up, ahankar comes in. So we can say that mercy of a devotee is more powerful, overpowering than other.
To an extent, true. That is true. Knowledge, when I said, is knowledge of Krishna coming in from either a pure devotee's words, not necessarily mercy. If you are walking in a class, we had few gentlemen who came here, who sat, who watched the deities, and we were discussing something. Maybe they heard something. Maybe one of them, it really strikes. When I said knowledge like that, that is knowledge being discussed amongst the association of devotees. And sometimes a pure devotee will not say even a word. He'll just glance. We have seen exalted personality. They just glance. They don't say a word, and then your heart changes. So that's what I meant when I said knowledge. Okay. Yes. Achyuta Leela Prabhu ki jai.
So Prabhu, I have a quick question. So the way we work in this world is there is an exchange. We hope for something and then we work towards it because that keeps us moving forward and inspiring us. Now when Srila Rupa Goswami is saying without any hope for gain, then what is that something that devotees on this path as practitioners are getting that they continue until the end goal? Because the goal is far. If we look at what Srila Rupa Goswami is talking, so any hope for gain. So now that wiring has to be changed inside the head. So how do we go about that?
So that is the reason we engage ourselves in bhakti. The wiring change is done by bhakti, not us. So what I am voluntarily doing is I am going to place myself on this path. Because, and when you discuss that point, we'll actually come to this because we are going to discuss these few things at length today, which is my voluntarily choice, or I am voluntarily placing myself on the path of bhakti, which means I am going to chant my rounds and hear about Krishna through Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. The power of bhakti is such that it can transform my heart. Krishna is attracted to my heart and he can transform my heart. Not that, I have to worry about the wiring. Wiring is taken care of bhakti. I need to worry about bhakti, doing bhakti, that's it. Right? And then we discussed one of the verses that Rupa Goswami mentioned early on is 5:18:12. I don't want to, don't need to show, it's fine. 5:18:12 is Yasyasti Bhakti Bhagavatya Kinchana. That verse says that for one who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service to Krishna, all the good qualities of the demigods are automatically developed. And they contrast with a person who is not a devotee, then no matter how good and moral you are in terms of society, you are still on the external energy, you are being manifested or you are taken, pulled by that. Is that helpful?
So can we safely say, Prabhu, that the reciprocation of Krishna from within will keep us going forward and Krishna will, out of his mercy, change that?
Yes.
Okay.
Ajamil, he was not even bothered about Krishna. When he called Narayan, he didn't even say, for those who are unfamiliar with the story, I think everybody is familiar, he didn't even say Narayan, he didn't even was thinking of Krishna. But the power of name is such that, the potency is such that Vishnudutas came. He called the name of my master, even though there was not even a slightest reference or intention. So that is the power of bhakti. That one should never give up, no matter how hard it is. You try your best. Be honest with Krishna, be honest with yourself, and just say, I will. There will be other desires that are there in the heart, that's all right. But our intention and our goal remains fixed. What Krishna does is his choice. Or what Maya does, what demigods does. It's mentioned actually in Bhagavatam that the demigods sometimes resent the unalloyed devotion of a Vaishnava to the Lord. Why is he only worshipping Krishna? Why is he not worshipping me? Sometimes they cause some fall downs. They do. It's time and again they do. No, it is said, why is this Vaishnava not worshipping me? I mean, what fault was Nanda Maharaj and Yashodas and coward men of Vrindavan that they said, we will not worship Indra, we will worship only what Krishna said we will do. Indra was angry. So yes, and he poured, they caused. So my point here is that there could be many ramps. When a jiva says, Krishna, I want to be a candidate of pure devotional service, a lot of things change in the universe. We don't know it. And we are really, because we have been trapped in this material world since time immemorial, we become so comfortable here, we don't even want to go out. You ask a person who is dying of cancer in the hospital, ask him how you are doing, he says, I'm doing okay. I mean, they'll be or you ask anybody, they are saying, I'm doing okay. Nobody says this material world is miserable. I mean, especially not those who on the spiritual path. Oh, we are doing very well, my, and they'll give the whole story, my daughter is here, my son is here, I am doing well, my health is good. Actually, I know one of my relatives, just we'll go back. I know one of my relatives, 70, 75. He says, I asked, how are you doing? He says with such a pride, I have no blood pressure, I have no diabetes, my eyesight is good. Oh, I'm so great. This is the nature of world. So, but when you voluntarily say, now this is my human life, that I am actually declaring my intention that I want to be an unalloyed devotee of Krishna, a lot changes in the universe. We don't know all the factors that play. That's where we just exclusively rely on protection of Krishna. And that's verse which is going to come up now. All right. Now you have the mic, so please read, and then your good wife, and then in this way, and then we can go online.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Chapter 5, the purity of devotional service. All of the previous instructions imparted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his broad statements can be summarized thus. As long as one is materially inclined or desirous of merging into the spiritual effulgence, one cannot enter into the realm of pure devotional service. Next, Rupa Goswami states that devotional service is transcendental to all material considerations and that is not limited to any particular country, class, society, or circumstance. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, devotional service is transcendental and has no cause. Devotional service is executed without any hope for gain and it cannot be checked by any material circumstances. It is open for all without any distinction and it is the constitutional occupation of the living entities.
Very, very powerful statement Srila Prabhupada gives, and it can unpack a lot into this, but this is the beginning paragraph of chapter 5, that the purity of pure devotional service is such that anybody without exemption can take to this and be purified. Right? And we can go to the next verse. Okay, people are making notes. Just give a minute. Devotional service is executed without any hope for gain, and it cannot be checked by any material circumstances. No matter which material circumstances you are placed, practically it removes any excuse. I cannot do bhakti because, unless I am in coma or undergoing a surgery and completely under anesthesia, which I have no hope, there is no reason why you cannot. Your job, family, most of the times health, it should be okay. There is no reason why we cannot. But you have a question. You have to use the mic. Sorry, there are devotees online and they will...
Prabhu, but do anarthas not impede the smoothness of the devotional practices?
Yeah, okay. Excellent point. Hold to that thought. We'll come to that as we go ahead. Next slide, please. No, we are not talking of impersonal voidness. This is where Rupa Goswami quotes from Padma Purana. He says, Sarve adhikarino hyatra hari bhakto yatha nripa. In the Padma Purana it is stated, all are qualified for Hari Bhakti, O King. This is where the question comes. Okay, what about birth? What about purity? What about person's past sinful tendencies and activities? What about doing your occupational duties of varna and ashrama? What about all those things? Shouldn't these matter in bhakti? Because you are making a very bold statement, just saying, okay, it's open for all, doesn't matter, all are welcome. But hey, you're talking of the highest goal, and then it's open for all. It seems a little esoteric, yes or yes? I mean, I know for a fact that a very luxurious Italian car manufacturer, when they introduce a new model, you will not even know in the market. It is coming into the market. You know why? Because they send invitations about that model to the existing customers. It's a very small club that can get access even to the information. And when the model comes out, it's a very limited model, like 100 of those cars will be manufactured, that's it. And by the time general public comes to know, every single of them has been actually bought. So you have no choice. Then our material thinking is like that. It's something high, something is exclusive. It must be only for an exclusive club. You're saying Krishna is the highest goal. Everybody can join. Dal mein kuch kala hai. We'll go to the next verse. Next slide, please, sorry. So here is the thing though. What about Varnashram Dharma? Shouldn't I be perfect in my Varnashram Dharma before I can actually become a pure devotee? Krishna says, Prabhupada writes, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Krishna says in the Gita that those who just surrender unto me, they need not worry so much whether I have perfected my Varnashrama. There are two different things though. Varna and Ashrama is that the Lord says in the Gita, by doing your duties prescribed of you, you will achieve perfection. He says that in Gita in many, many places. And those what are considered your duties, you should do them. If it is not your duty, then you should not do it. Otherwise, it's a serious mispropriety. Means Kshatriya cannot be interchanged for a Brahmana, or Brahmana cannot be interchanged for a Vaishya. Don't do that. Whatever comes, natural. But here, pure bhakti transcends the varnashram dharma. You need not achieve perfection in your varnashram dharma. One of the things that the devotees ask is, I have this nature and I want to do this in my career, I want to do this, and bhakti seems, it's all like a little confusing, and I agree sometimes it can be confusing, but the idea here is pure bhakti is not dependent on the varnashrama system. Anybody can actually do it. And Srila Rupa Goswami introduces a lot of verses from Srimad Bhagavatam where he says that if you perfectly do your activities, but I don't have attraction for Krishna, then those activities are useless. Shramai eva hi kevalam. So, but if you have attraction for Krishna, then other things can be adjusted. One last point. Be an aspirational pure devotee, but if you have some tendencies that you naturally are inheriting and you have the strong tendencies, then follow them. For example, if a person has more Vaishya tendencies, then you would like to start your own business. You don't want to work for others. It is very grating. That should not impede your bhakti, but you should follow your path if that is so strongly you choose. They shouldn't be confused or mixed. That's the point. Varnashrama and bhakti are in two parallel tracks. Varnashrama, or whatever maintenance you have to do to maintain in this world, that is for the body. And you can, in the Kali Yuga, everything got so mixed up that, do whatever you needed to do to maintain your body in a healthy way. But perform bhakti and don't mix them up, because they are two different. One is material, one is transcendental. That is the point Srila Rupa Goswami makes, that Varnashram, and Prabhupada also writes, Varnashram dharma is something that is not, I am a Shudra, I cannot do bhakti. Nope. Doesn't matter. I don't have any good birth. Next is which comes as the next birth. I should be born in a good family. Rupa Goswami says no. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, he had Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Muslim family, as one of his intimate associates. So there is no restriction on birth. And then we come to the point of purity. Bhakti is so powerful because even if perchance the devotee commits mistake, A, accidental, B, from past tendencies. Because my past tendencies there can be habits that are so deep-rooted that are against bhakti. But it's a very frustrating stage. You will feel a little dejected that I have the past that is too much, and then I have to do bhakti, which is so pure. It seems like really, really... But the point is, no matter what, please persevere. Whether it is you are doing it repeatedly because I cannot control myself, or you are doing it accidentally, bhakti has the ability to purify everything. That's Rupa Goswami. Again, he gives a bunch of verses. If you read this chapter, you will see also references to scriptures in Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is mentioned the power and the purity of bhakti. But one point, and coming back to your question, yes. If one... everything boils to intention. I can use bhakti to cover up my bad tendencies, hoping that bhakti will counter. There the problem is. Because one of the interesting things I want to ask is, forget devotional service, bhakti philosophy. Is drinking alcohol good? everywhere you go, and in this every part of the world, universally, they put restrictions. Yes, sorry. In India, actually, for those Vicky, you might not be familiar, they still don't openly show ads for alcohol. You know that? So alcohol companies market their products as sodas. I don't know if it has changed, but growing up in India, you are prohibited even to displaying alcohol ads. Even today, right? Yeah, you cannot openly. So the alcohol manufacturers will manufacture soda or some other non-alcoholic drinks, and they market that. So everywhere in the world, we agree that alcohol is bad. Then people come to Bhakti, oh, God is there, He will help me justify this habit. And Bhakti, so you can see how mind is devious to use God also in your service as being a partner in crime. Oh, I'm a devotee and I drink, it balances it out, it's good. You are deluding yourself. So intention matters a lot. You can say to Krishna, Krishna, I am fallen because I have certain bad tendencies in the heart. Please help me overcome those. That is one way. I have this habit, so you know what, please help me. Krishna, you get the idea, right? So that is one aspect. The second thing is Vaishnava Aparadha. That has serious effects on bhakti. More than sin, more than my own personal weaknesses and past tendencies that can drag me down, intentional Vaishnava aparadhas can actually have a serious hampering in the bhakti. So those things need to be taken care of. But bhakti is so pure that Rupa Goswami writes that you don't need to do prayaschita. And I'll tell an interesting story. So there was a very famous devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Subudhi Rai. We'll take a break for 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes after this. He was you can say a general contractor kind of thing, a landowner, and he had hired a servant, Nawab Hussain Shah. No, yeah, he hired a servant who later became the governor of the same province. And then when he was mentoring this young Muslim in one of his projects, he didn't work correctly, and he took a stick and as a means to chastise him, he hit him on the back, and there was a mark. And later this man grew up and he became the Nawab or the governor or the county king or whatever. And then his wife saw that there was a mark on the back. Who did this to you? I said, Subudhi Rai did this. He was like a mentor to me, and then I was working in the project. I did some mistake, and then he did this. She said, have him killed. I don't want him. What are you talking about? He was like a father figure. He helped me. I just can't kill him. Then in those days, all you had to do is a Muslim had to touch some water, put it in the hand, and throw it on Hindu. And the Hindu would be ostracized. You no longer are Hindu. Your caste status and your society status is gone, and you had to go. It seems weird, but that was the case. And so Subudhi Rai, he left. He left his kingdom. He became despondent. He went and asked so many people, what is the atonement? I need to get back into the game, and what do I need to do to become a Hindu game? And then get into the Hindu game, I need to get back. So what should I do? And then some people suggested you should do charity, and then some people said you should drink boiling hot ghee. He said, wouldn't that kill me? Yes, it would kill you, but in the next birth you will be born as a Hindu again. And please, as devotees, don't worry about people selling you rings and those things, whatever you call them, and then some this, I'll protect you. Bhakti is so pure that just if there is a fall down, either accidental or otherwise, please keep chanting bhakti. The intention, like I said, You cannot use bhakti saying, okay, I'm doing bhakti, but I'll also, I'm maintaining it because I want to maintain it. I cannot give up is one thing, but I want to maintain it is another thing. So again, a lot boils to the intention. If you have a spiritual mentor that you can seek out, whom you can ask and confide, then they can actually help. If your guru is unavailable, if your guru is available, then you should never ever hesitate to approach and ask the questions. If not, you find mentors whom you can approach, and you can discuss this. So far, so good. Okay. We will take a break of 5 minutes. You can go out. You can run a marathon in 5 minutes if you want to. If you can, I don't recommend highly necessarily. Go walk, stretch your legs, drink some water, look at sun, look at the deities, and we'll come recharge back in 5 minutes. The next chapter is chapter 6, is the practical aspect of it, and then we can discuss it. It's not much. There is a lot of reading to do, but we'll do this. Okay? So we'll take a break and come back in 5 minutes. Online, before we go online, if there are any questions or comments, nobody asked anything, I didn't give a chance. So if there is nothing, then, we can come back. Jambavati, Hare Krishna.
Hi Krishna, Srivas Pandit Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranams. I have one question about Prayashchit. It is mentioned in this book that those who are in the devotional path, and if they fall down for any reason, they just need to continue with their bhakti to just get reinstated back in the devotional path. And my question was, in the next chapter, Rup Goswami mentions that taking initiation from a bona fide master is like step 1, and then following the instructions. So if we have taken initiation and if we miss chanting the prescribed rounds, what is there a prayashchit needed? And if yes, what is the prayashchit?
Happily, the answer is no prayashchit needed. 2 things. You can, what Srila Prabhupada gave, I can give. That is to make up for the rounds the next day. Then if it's an exceptional circumstance, then you should ask your spiritual master on how to adjust it. Because a devotee gives the vow to the spiritual master, and it would be inappropriate for me to tell what needs to be done. I'll give a simple example. If there is a serious medical condition that causes one, or one is really old, the old age, and we have many instances from Shastra where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Haridas Thakur, he was doing 192 rounds every day, and then as he was getting old, Mahaprabhu came as a regulation. He would come every day to Haridas Thakur to meet him, and he came on this day. He says, Mahaprabhu asked Haridas, are you well? And Haridas said, no, I am physically very, very bad because I am unable to chant my rounds. And Mahaprabhu said, now that you are getting old, you should reduce the number of rounds. And Sanatana Goswami, the same thing. He would circumambulate Govardhan Parikrama every day. As he got too old, then Krishna came, and we know the story of how he gave a Govardhan Shila with his foot. So the point here is that general rule for all the devotees is make up for the next day, with no prayashchita involved. It's not like, I will not eat next day. So here is can happen. Man, I missed 6 rounds yesterday. And then, as prayashchita, I have to do prayashchita. I'll fast. I'll not drink even water till I complete my 16 rounds. And then your body is like, where is food? Hare Krishna, where is food? Hare Krishna, where is food? Hare Krishna. So that prayashchita actually can become a sort of hindrance. So the only prayashchita is that I will eat what I need to eat. Maybe next day I'll tell my boss for 3 hours, I'm sorry, I cannot, I have to take off, doctor's appointment. He is doctor, I have an appointment. Chanting is also an appointment with the doctor. Don't quote this. It's okay, it's authorized. Sanatana Goswami did it as well. So do that and then complete your rounds. And then that next day, the prayashchita will be my determination to do the rounds today. Not, I have to fast, I will not sleep. For example, I have 6 rounds and I have to wake up in the morning. My prayashchita is I'll sleep only for 4 hours, I'll wake up in the morning. Again, it doesn't work. So it is better to be like, this is my body, this is what it can handle, and I will do to what I need to do. So that is the best prayashchita. There's nothing else extra. Okay, now I need to give $100 to the Lord to make it right. He doesn't need our money, Baba. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a break for 5. And then we'll come back, and then we can do. Shyam Chandra Prabhu, so happy to see you all. Rasa Purnima, it's all wonderful to see you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol. Just 5 minutes. Everybody can take a break and we can be
Yes.
back. Hare Krishna. Welcome back. Are we waiting for someone? No. Good. So we can go to that particular slide. So in the chapter 6, Srila Rupa Goswami talks about the different items of devotional service. Items in Sanskrit is defined as anga or limbs of bhakti. So this is the limb or item of bhakti. What is the definition is mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami here. Let's skip Sanskrit, but Mata, you can just do the translation, please.
The characteristics of an anga of bhakti are as follows. The learned define an anga of bhakti as a complex of devotional action that have internal divisions, or only one action of bhakti that does not have clearly defined internal differences.
So bhakti can be two types. What are the two types?
Vaidhi Bhakti, Raga Bhakti.
True, but based on this verse, an anga of bhakti can be either a complex of devotional activities that have internal divisions, or only one action of bhakti that has that does not have clearly internal differences. I'll give an example. A complex of internal devotional activities is archana or bhakt or deity worship. It has many angas to it, yes or yes? For example, you have to wake up the deities, you have to offer water to the deities, you have to do arati, you have to bathe them. So there are many complex things. And then for that internal divisions, you just can't go to the altar, just wake up the deities. If you do strictly, the internal limbs are mudras. For example, if you offer something to the deities, then there are so many mudras. For example, this, if you do take the water and put like this is the filter mudra. Mudra that actually says that may this water be purified. And you have to utter a mantra along with the mudra to purify the water before you offer it to the deity. Then you need to put on tilak. You just can't go to the altar without putting on a tilak. Or even if you cannot put a tilak before you do, at least put water tilak. So there are many, there's a complex of devotional activities is archana. Now, how to wake up the deity. So there is a whole thing. Whereas a limb of bhakti that really does not have internal divisions is taking shelter of a guru. It's straightforward. It's one thing. It's one thing only. It's to take initiation from a guru. So those are the two things. Having this in mind, because this whole chapter we have 64 items of bhakti. And we can go few of them. Actually, we'll go first the overall 64, what the 64 items are, or the characteristics, and then we'll do few of them today, not all 64 of them. So far so good. That is what is a item, limb or anga of a bhakti is. It can be, and because you see this, you try to categorize it for those who are very organized and organizational in mind. You want to categorize everything. You see this, some people really, I need to set it. I need to organize it. They can't sleep at night. So, so for that, you need to see 64 items. They are like everything spread out in a room. What does it mean? And then, so Rupa Goswami says, you can have some basis of organizing this. All right, next slide, please. So, I'm sorry, I should have increased the slide a little bit if you can. All right. And then these are the 64 items of sadhana bhakti. Rupa Goswami mentions 20. If you see on the top and go to the left, then there are 20 items of primary importance. And amongst the 20, if you come down, then activities 1 to 10 are pravritti. Pravritti marg. I'm going to send all these slides across in the thing. Oh, one good news I have to share. I got not the perfect, but almost perfect copy of Waves of Devotion. the guide. I'll send it across in today's. Today, I'll send it across. That is really useful because it can be hard to follow if you don't have that guide. So I'll come. Let's complete this. 1 to 10 is the pravritti or positives or do's. Pravritti, PP. Pravritti is positive, and nivritti is no. So 11 to 12 is activities to reject in that. And then we have if you go from the right, we have 44 items of devotionals, additional items. And then amongst them, 21 through 59 are items of sadhana, and 60 through 64, that is the most important items of devotional service. I usually use the most important items. I mark it as A, B, C, D, E. A is association of devotees, B is Bhagavatam, C is chanting, D is deity worship, and E, I need to get up a bit one, entering Vrindavan or Mathura, or, it is mentioned that you can. So those are the 5 items of devotional service. I'm giving a sneak peek. But this is what is discussed in chapter 6. What are the limbs we defined, and then what are the 64 items of bhakti. We'll do a few of those items. Then we can, so this is what we are going to discuss. You had a question. On the Bhakti Sastri WhatsApp group. If you, I can ask Syamalangi Machaji or myself. You can get you added to that. Correct. Both. Yes.
Prabhuji, E, you said entering Vrindavan, so you mean like Dham visits?
Dham, so Rupa Goswami says one of the 5 most important items is staying in Mathura or Vrindavan. So I needed something to go with A, B, C, D, E, and E I am stuck at. So I used entering Vrindavan or staying in Vrindavan. I'll post that. One of the most important things that before we discuss, if we can go to actual nectar of devotion, this is something, I marked it, this is really important. Chapter 6. Chapter 6, yeah. The first paragraph from chapter 6. This is a very important statement. I wanted to, okay. Vicky, please do the translation. You can read the...
Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother Sanatan Goswami has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas for the guidance of the Vaishnavas, and therein has mentioned many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important items for our benefit.
Okay, this is the most important. Please read. This is one thing I wanted to, yeah.
The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of his spiritual master is considered a detail.
Please, can you repeat that? This is the point I wanted to highlight.
Exactly how one follows...
No, the purport, starting from the purport.
The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of his spiritual master is considered a detail.
Okay, please continue.
For example, if one is following the instruction of his spiritual master and that instruction is different from the instructions of another spiritual master, this is called detailed information. But the basic principle of acceptance of a spiritual master is good everywhere, although the details may be different. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but wants to place before us only the principles.
This is very important because when you start reading these list of 64 items, it is very easy to confuse it for details rather than principles. And then you will get all, oh my God. I'll tell you why. One of the principles is that you have to circumambulate the temple, the deities thrice a day. And in India, every temple pretty much has the facility where you can circumambulate it, following this principle. In West, not so much. Then you will be like, my God, this is like, this ISKCON temple is totally not following the rules. The thing is, the details will vary. The principles will remain, the details will vary. And 64 items is impossible to do on a daily basis as well. And there could be internal limitations, and there is a temple external limitation as well. I mean, if you want to go around and employ the details, then you can walk around the block 3 times if you feel like it. If you are close by, and if you want to walk on a daily basis, then walk around this block 3 times, and then you can circumambulate the deities. You can still implement it, but there is nothing, you might say, oh my God, there is nothing in the temple where I can circumambulate Radha Madan Muni. You can still do it in the kitchen as long as you don't disturb the devotees. But not a great idea. You get the idea. So this is a very important thing. What you have to do is, what is a principle? What's a detail? There are 2 different things. If not, then with that, okay, Mata Jaya, you do first 3, and then I'll ask online to do next 3, and then Chamchandra Prabhu, we can start with you, and then you can keep tagging whoever.
He mentions the basic principles as follows. Number 1, accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Number 2, becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Number 3, obeying the order of the spiritual master with the faith and devotion.
Okay, Shyamchandra Prabhu, next 3, and then.
Krishna. 4, following in the footsteps of great acharyas, teachers, under the direction of the spiritual master. 5, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. 6, being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This means that we are engaged in the devotional service of Krishna. We must be prepared to give up something that we may not like to give up. And also we have to, Roji, could you go upwards? Yeah, thank you. We have to accept something that we may not like to accept. Hare Krishna. Jambati Mataji. Next one, 7.
7. Residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavan. 8. Accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary. 9. Observing the fasting day on Ekadashi. Sukamala Mataji, if you can please read the next.
Yeah, thank you. Worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree. Okay.
And then you can do the next paragraph, that's it.
Okay. These 10 items are preliminary necessities for beginning the discharge of devotional service in regulative principles. In the beginning, if a neophyte devotee observes the above-mentioned 10 principles, surely he will quickly make good advancement in Krishna consciousness.
So this is the first 10 set of principles, which is P, pravritti, positive, P. And then nivritti, no. Okay, you have a question? Yes, go for it.
Thank you. So, Prabhuji, yes, and like if the infrastructure is not like that or the conditions, so we cannot do parikrama. But sometimes if everything is possible, but still it is a detail, but so like there's a instruction you should not wear red or blue color in front of deities. So it is possible not to wear, but still if we don't do, so is that a sinful act?
No. The thing is, ideally you should not. But if there is, for example, you are coming from work directly. Here is the thing. You are coming directly from work. You wore a blue shirt that day to work. There can be two options. Oh my God, you should never go to the temple wearing blue. Or, I will go, but I'll see the deity. Then the answer is, go to the temple in blue and see the deity. Because when you see the deity, you will think of Krishna. One of the primary things you should remember, maybe I'll include this in the exam as well. Please memorize the verse, Smartavya Satatam Vishnur, Vismartavyo na jatochit, Sarva Vidhi Nishedasyor, Etayor Eva Kinkara. I think it is there, but I will look it up and I'll make sure it's included. That Smartavya Satatam Vishnur, always remember Krishna. Vismartavyo na jatuchit, which means never forget him. Sarva Vidhi Nisheda. All the vidhis, rules, and nishedas, don't do's, or prohibitions. All these rules and regulations are the servant of this primary rule of never forgetting Krishna and always remembering Krishna. So you should use the intelligence to see which one would work. All right. Yes.
Prabhuji, what should one do if, say, someone wants to serve the Lord, but if there are these, sometimes like if there's a senior devotee who for some reason just keeps saying no, without giving you any explanation, but you do see that there are other people in the temple who are able to serve. It's just you are not allowed to serve for some reason. And if you do even the smallest of thing, that can trickle up like an entire Mahabharat. What should you do? Then how should you deal with this situation? And if it keeps happening over and over again, you can't keep quiet in the name of, being respectful to the senior Vaishnava, because there is also something called self-respect. Then how do you deal with that?
It's I'll give a very generic answer, since the question is a little generic, because often these questions have a very specific personal situational context, which we can discuss offline if needed. And you are saying the service in the temple is, you are being very closely scrutinized and criticized if you do wrong, and then either out of a sense of whatever be the motivation of the senior devotee that is asking you of the service. Did I get the gist right without personalizing it too much?
Not necessarily, Prabhuji, and it's not in my context, but I have seen it recently over here. So that's.
So here is the thing. We have a pretty open system of whom you can approach to kind of talk about these. And the second thing is, if that particular person is, there is a desire to do service and there is the opposition that is coming in either because of competency or because of losing one's own importance or because of feeling whatever be it. There could be a million reasons. To the best of one's ability, you try to do it for the pleasure of Krishna. And if that is getting out of control or beyond a point that you cannot do it without thinking too much negatively of that person. The point I'm trying to make is, negative reactions in the heart are equally space occupying as positive are with reference to Krishna. You become very obsessed with a particular person, and that person will fill your heart and mind in a negative way in exclusion of Krishna. And my goal is that my heart is reserved for Krishna, and I have a choice on whom I can place it. So to that extent, what adjustment needs to be made, we can do it. Whether it is talking to that person directly, or talking to proper authorities, or moving away from the service, how can I keep Krishna the center? That should be the goal of my life. And everything else, it's adjustable. Truly it's adjustable. One of the things I wanted to add is, because ISKCON is open for everyone, and that's pure bhakti is open to everyone welcome. When everyone welcome, then there is a lot of different kinds of personalities coming in, and oftentimes the harmony might be difficult. For example, if you go to temples in India that are very sectarian, only, I know for a fact that there are some philosophical schools in India, they say only Brahmana families are welcome. That's about it. Who are born in a Brahmana, otherwise you are useless, you are gone. Don't even come here. So it becomes a little bit more easier from a cultural background, but now that, not that there are no difficulties or politics, even they are everywhere. But with a open for all policy, then you can see how it can be very, very tricky to navigate. But that's the fundamental principle, without going into specifics. Whatever can help. If my services are, here's the thing. We have 64 items, and this is so important that we get gradations. 5 most important. Am I doing those? Out of those 5, I'm doing, 5 is too much for me, my chanting. That's one thing am I doing correctly in my life. Everything else can take a backseat. Thank you. So if you have that intention every single day, it's okay. The world might say what they want to say. I'm not good enough with my service, or maybe that person hates me. Okay, I'll do my best to correct we don't become callous, but I do my best to correct myself. But beyond a stage, I am a jiva struggling with my own baggage. So how much can I go satisfying others in exclusion to mine? Unless you are really exalted, that question will eventually come up, and you have to reconcile both, the internal and the external, to be harmonious. Otherwise, people will come, they can be like that firecrackers that can put on a huge show and attract the attention, but then they fizzle out and then they're gone. Go for it. Okay. All right.
Okay. Very quick question.
Yes, after her.
Sorry. So in the previous slide, we talked about purity, and how long does it, and we also talked about the abhyas, or the bad habits that we have, or accidental mistakes, which is something that majority of sadhana sadhaks are going through. How long does it take, and how do we make that process quick? And is this a very I don't know, capitalistic, I want to be quick?
In fact, it can be capitalistic, because Rupa Goswami says it depends on one's own greed. How much of, I want to be greedy. I think the greed is best used here. I'm never satisfied, ever. I learned so many books. I know nothing. I just want to learn more. I've done so much. I'm really greedy for him. And if you see a greedy capitalist, obstacles don't matter. I mean, they can plow through obstacles because they have the greed for the end goal. In the same way, let's become a greedy capitalist for Krishna. Go for it. And we can look up that verse from Rupa Goswami. The only ticket is that greed, that laulyam. I need that. It's like a drug addict saying, I need my fix. I need it. And if you have that for Krishna, then you are really, truly fortunate in life.
That was beautiful, thank you. And also, why red and blue?
It's mentioned. We'll come there. We'll come to those. It is mentioned. There is a red and blue. Why red and blue? I don't know. I never did much research. As you can see, I'm wearing a red kurta here, almost red, burgundy, whatever you want to call it, so easy. I did not give much thought to it, because given what I need to do, those 5 items, these come way below. And this is another problem though, as I think you can major in minor items. But we are here to major in major items. You can quickly get sidetracked. Oh my God, did you do this? Again, nothing against and all power more, but oh my God, ahimsa milk. If you can get ahimsa milk, please get it. Highly recommended. If you cannot, then ahimsa milk, chanting 16 rounds. So you can see so many decisions will come like this. Oh, ahimsa milk, I have to do this, I have to eat healthy. So you can see how minor things quickly overwhelm the major things. And more often than not, the 16 rounds go for a toss, which is the most major thing we need to do. So have that perspective in place. There are so many things. Oh, there is this Varnashram, whole initiative, all good in their own right. But the whole idea is major is major, minor is minor. We should always have that every single day, that discrimination. Otherwise, it will be hard to sustain. My intention is, how can I help devotees to be lifelong devotees? That's it. And whatever it can make it easy, then so be it. So red and blue, if you can follow, as I said before, I'll be giving the blanket statement. If you can follow all the rules without sacrificing your chanting and hearing of the Lord, by all means do it. But if you cannot, don't give up on basic hearing and chanting. For a homemaker, I have so many hours in the day. Even that is tough with kids. But I have so much time in the day. Okay, do all the things that you need to. Go get ahimsa milk, go do research on this, go do whatever you need to do. But if you cannot, always hearing and chanting, that's my principle. That is how I get Krishna. Oh, lifelong I have drunk ahimsa milk. Krishna will say, where did you chant, Baba? So, that's perspective. Again, nothing against ahimsa milk. If you can get it, go for it. We have an excellent facility in the temple. But, yeah. Satya Sankalpa, Prabhu.
So, continuing on the same line of thought, Prabhu, why would we even need Pancharatrika Vidhi if Bhagavad Vidhi, like you said, already provides everything?
Excellent question. Thank you. It's a nice question. I'm grateful. Hearing and chanting will give you Krishna without fail. But in the sadhana stage, we cannot do it continuously. You cannot read Bhagavatam day in, day out, try it. Read Bhagavatam for 1 hour, you will be like, I need a break. We are not on the level of Parikshit Maharaj and Shuka. Forget drink, forget food, forget eating. The nectar, ambrosia that they were getting 7 days, 7 nights. After hearing up to 10th canto, Maharaj Parikshit said, please keep continuing. This is so much of nectarian stuff. I don't feel thirsty after so many days of not sleeping, eating or drinking. Please, I need more. Well, we are not on that level yet. So, because sadhana is regulated, I need to do my sadhana. And then the problem is, what about the other limbs of bhakti? What about the other limbs? My chanting of Hare Krishna, I don't smell Krishna's fragrance in the Mahamantra yet. But when I offer flowers to the deity, when I offer fragrance to the deity, when I offer incense to the deity, I smell that. Then my nose also gets involved in bhakti. Hearing and chanting has no mention of all-important prasadam for us. But my tongue wants to taste. So the idea is that when you have deity at home, then you can offer food. You are not on that level where hearing and chanting all day long, and Haridas Thakur, this was he would do. Haridas Thakur would actually go to the house of Brahmanas and beg, and whatever they gave him, he would eat. But we are not on that level yet. So we need deities at home to offer food. It means we do a little bit of arti, we will take care of a little bit. So having a balance in this modern Kali Yuga is needed. That's why ABCDE, Association of Devotees, Bhagavatam, chanting, D is deity worship. So 5 limbs are needed, but for grihasthas especially, you need some focus, some center of the house, and that should be deities. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhu, definitely. So can we just say that Pancharatrik Vidhi is like aiding to Bhagavad Vidhi finally?
Absolutely.
But eventually the goal is pure chanting. And
Yeah, we have seen our exalted spiritual masters in ISKCON. They actually they travel all over the world, they don't carry any deities. 0 deities. They don't have any deities. So some, they carry deities, so it is up to them. Yeah. More questions? Yes.
Oh, just quickly, just follow up. How long does it take for anartha nivritti? I know someone asked Srila Prabhupada. I think it's a very common question. I think Srila Prabhupada said like 30 to 40 years. Like I think there's varying answers to this.
The varying answers is because it's very personal or individualized. There is no fixed time. I mean, forget bhakti. You go to any corporation and ask, how many years does it take for me to get promotion from this place to this place? Nobody gives a standard answer. It all depends on how much work do you do, blah, blah, blah. So when we in bhakti are now saying, after unlimited number of time in the material world, each has their own baggage. Each has their own intensity to apply themselves to the process of bhakti. Each has to fight their own battles. So it might take time. It might take, again, please don't go by the number 30, 40 years. It can be 30, 40 lifetimes. But the beauty is that when you stay surrendered to Krishna, you don't count the years because you are in the state of surrender to Krishna. And you know for a fact, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva. He says, I am going to relieve you of all your sinful reactions, do not fear. That statement will give us the hope, not the years or the hours or the lifetimes in Krishna consciousness. But having said that, it's a possibility that in this very lifetime one is liberated or one has to wait for a long time. It's highly individual. So please don't go by the numbers. Just go by the fact that I need to do certain activities on a daily basis, hearing and chanting about Krishna. Yes, please. No. That's the whole purpose, Baba. Otherwise, Sunday mornings is, everybody will be saying, I can do something else.
Yeah, just a follow-up from the earlier question. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Nitya Shuddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabhinay, and then Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta. So like if hearing and chanting can already purify you, if we continue with hearing and chanting, how does Pancharatrik Vidhi aid us in that process? Like, can we still just keep on engaging in hearing and chanting even though it's imperfect and we don't have the taste?
So after a stage from Vaidhi, which is regulative bhakti, in the Raganuga, there are no rules and regulations. So that stage, there is no need of worshipping the deities. For example, gopis in Vrindavan, they would not get up in the morning and start worshipping the deities because they are so absorbed in Krishna 24/7, they are automatically attracted to Krishna. It is mentioned that actually in one of these particular chapters, it is mentioned for those who have awakened to love of Krishna, there are no rules and regulations of Shastra at all. So there is no vidhi because it is complete absorption in Krishna. The whole Vaidhi Bhakti is to come to that platform where you are spontaneously attracted to Krishna. When you are spontaneously attracted to Krishna, then there is no need for the rules and regulations. But again, don't do it at home. Refer to your Guru Maharaj before you. Guru Maharaj, I am on the Raganuga. I am not worshipping the deities anymore. I don't need to chant 16 rounds because I am always meditating on Krishna.
So that verse is specifically for those who are in...
Yes. I'll pull up that verse. I think I went through, when I was reading for the class, I went through that verse. I should have put it on the slide, but next time I'll try to see if I can find that verse and put it on the slide. Yes.
Thank you, Guruji. So, Prabhuji, as you told, Vaidhi Bhakti is of two types, like regulative and spontaneous love of God. But, and also Raganuga, Prema, Bhava, there is spontaneous love, attraction towards Krishna. So, can you explain the difference between in sadhaka stage, spontaneous love, and in the higher stages?
After 4, 5, 6, 7 chapters, when we are, that's where I'll hold that discussion for that. When we transition from chapters, so we are 2 through 14 is Vaidhi. Rupa Goswami spends a lot of time on Vaidhi. And then few chapters on Raganuga. So when we transition from Vaidhi to Raganuga, we will have an intense discussion on that. How do we transition? Do you need to get a passport and visa stamped somewhere? Or what is the situation? We'll get to that point. Is that okay? Okay. Vicky. And if anybody has online, anybody has a question, I can answer.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Which is the verse by Srila Rupa Goswami on Loliam that you were referring to?
Yes. Would you mind pulling up the shloka book, please? If there is one Prabhupada shloka book. We can actually discuss that. I think. Atiji, sorry, what's your name again? Krishna. She also like that verse. Thank you. This is from Padyavali actually. This is not from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's on page 408 of that. So it is mentioned here, Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Matihi Kriyatam Yadi Utopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Kotir Sukritairna Labhyate. So it's mentioned pure devotional service and Krishna consciousness can not be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. So this is the verse from Padyavali. Is that okay? All right. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra laulyam api mulyamekalam Janma koti sukrutair nalabhyate. This, anyway, I read the translation, but we can. So this is one thing. She'll be happy. Krishna will be happy. It's only one prize. What is it? English. No, not greed. No, qualify the greed, please. There we go. There we go. Intense greed. All right. So, please go through the 64 items of bhakti, and we will discuss a little more in the next class. We have 7 more minutes. We can do all the 64 items, but then we started off with 10 primary. P positive. Let's do N Nivriti no, and then we will stop. Somebody online can do. Please do the next verses. Shamchandra Prabhu, you help me.
Yeah, Prahlad Prabhu.
Prahlad.
Krishna Prabhu, Danda Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Danda Pranam. Yeah, it will be projected on the screen momentarily.
Okay, Prabhu. I start from these 10 items?
Yeah, the next set of instructions is listed as follows. And you can do 3, then you can pass it to someone else.
Okay, bro. The next set of instructions is listed as follows. One should rigidly give up the company of non-devotees. One should not instruct a person who is not desirous of accepting devotional service. One should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples or monasteries.
Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One should not try to read too many books, nor should one develop the idea of earning his livelihood by lecturing on or professionally reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Number 5. One should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. Number 6. One should not be under the spell of lamentation in loss or jubilation in gain. Number 7. One should not disrespect the demigods. Number 8. One should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. Should I proceed, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please complete it. It's fine.
Number 9. One should carefully avoid the various offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord or in worshipping the deity in the temple. Number 10. One should be very intolerant toward the blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna or his devotees.
Thank you. So, some things are, please don't disrespect the demigods. They are really powerful personalities. We offer respects to everyone, then demigods are much more higher than us. That doesn't mean we worship them in comparison or equal to Krishna, but then they should never be disrespected as well. So every temple, if you go perchance, go to the temple of Shiva or any other deities, please offer obeisances and offer stutis if you can. Don't seek out necessarily in exclusion, but if perchance, especially when you have India family members who take you to different temples, no, let's go here, you can, if time permits and allows and it's not too much, then you can go and offer respects and worship in that capacity. And then the other thing is, one should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings as well. It's quite important that just because I'm a devotee, I've taken something from someone, I don't need to repay, it's okay, no big deal. I'm a devotee. Or something like that. And then the other thing is, one should not give unnecessary. The word is unnecessary trouble. There is a necessary trouble and unnecessary trouble. I mean, if you have for example, You are at work and you have to, there is a performance difficulty from one of the team members. It is giving trouble, but sometimes it is necessary. Or you are a mother who has to chastise a child for the benefit of the child, not for my false ego, then there is necessary trouble. And there it can, I mean, if otherwise world doesn't work. I mean, police have to give trouble to the criminals because the criminals are troubling people. So have that kind of thing. And then one should be very intolerant towards the blasphemy of Supreme Lord, as in there are 3 aspects to it. We can do only 2. Don't try the third one at home, ever, at home or any other place. So it is mentioned that if there is a blasphemy of the Lord or his devotee, you are perfectly free. You have the full license to walk away from that place. If you have the capacity, then you can engage in proving that that person's blasphemy is incorrect, or reinstating the pride of the Lord, be the well-wisher. And the last thing is, it is mentioned that you can cut the tongue of the blasphemer or terminate their existence in this world, but please don't try last 2. I think we are at time, so I'll take few questions. These are the list of the things we can go. You can read those remaining 44 items at home, and then we can discuss. If you have some questions, some practical questions, we can always discuss, and I'll try my level best to answer. Yes. And I'll take this question, Laksh, and then I'll give it open for online audience because they haven't asked much questions, or if there are questions, then I'll come back to you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, the purpose of getting knowledge is to advocate others and judge yourself, so we become a better devotee, right? But my mind is not pure, and it focuses on negative things first of all. So even if I see, after getting some knowledge, if I see somebody not doing, who may not know such rules, certain rule, so my mind focuses on negative things. Although I'm not going to confront him to avoid Vaishnava Prad, but how to change this mindset to focus on positive thing, that or he or she is coming to the temple, or even thinking to chant Hare Krishna. So how I can transform my thinking so I focus on only positive things?
First of all, I want to appreciate your thinking like that. Why? Because if you go back to the thing that you mentioned, if you bring up the nonos, the nivritti, actually it's there. If you have the book, that's fine. If you don't worry. Okay. In there it is mentioned. In the next set of instructions is listed as follows. One, and the first item chhod ke, second item is, one should not instruct a person who is not desirous of accepting devotional service. It's an injunction for the devotees. Don't go about instructing to the people who don't have that desire to accept devotional service.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm saying I'm not going to talk about it, but still I want to change my thought.
It's okay. It'll come over a period of time. It's natural. It'll come over a period of time. Because here is though, there is one point though. This is one thing that happened. Because this happened, I'll tell you. Many years ago, before we had this gates, even now also I don't know how much useful they are. Before now we had these gates. The Lord was taking rest in the afternoon. They were offering prasadam, and the curtains were closed. The person came, and then he says, I want to see the deities. Open the curtains. And I said, no, they're taking rest. You cannot see them now. We have to wait for some time. And that person actually charged into the altar and not climbed up, but at least he opened the altar to see the deities inside. I said, don't do that. That's an offense. Example 1. Example 2. We were in Bascom temple, previous temple. We were cooking for, I don't remember the feast though. Was it Narsingha Chaturdashi? Some event was happening and we were cooking pakoras. And we have mail carrier who comes to, like they come and they give mail, right? This particular mail carrier, she came, she gave the mail, and we were making the pakoras. They're not yet offered to the Lord. She says, I want to taste these pakoras. And she actually grabbed and put one in the mouth. What can you do? So in that time, I was very strict with her, saying that you cannot do this. It's a sin. It's completely blasphemous to eat like this. But the point is that if the Lord is being offended in some way, then you have a right to speak up. But not that you, to that extent, you have to maintain the etiquette to kind of preserve the Lord, you do it. But not out of a sense that I need to correct others. Everybody's on their own path. So having that subtle difference will help. Not that you cannot do any time to anybody, but at the same time, everything to everybody doesn't work. So where is that fine balance? Where I shouldn't offend, I should make sure that the Lord is safe, but at the same time, Is that helpful? It'll come over a period of time when you go, it'll come automatically. And pray to Krishna to give you that strength. Krishna. Oh, wait. I promised online. And then Hare Krishna, and I did it in front of the deities, so. Yeah. Shamchandra Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, 2 questions, Prabhu, about preaching to others who are not willing to listen, right? One is, while we are doing a book distribution, we don't know whom we will come across, right? Second thing is, at home, with maybe our close family or with friends and relatives, how we can deal with it, Prabhuji?
Good point on book distribution. You will meet a lot of people who are, the best thing is to walk away, not to engage. The whole purpose is we go on book distribution to give books. Either people accept it or reject it. When they say no, we usually don't again push back. Yesterday we went with Vaisheshika Prabhu on book distribution. The way he taught us the trick is that you show a book, and if they don't like it, no, you don't want this book, yeah, that's not for you. And then he took the other book, it was the exact same book, and he gave it, and they said, okay, we'll take it. So there are transcendental tricks like that, but apart from that, if somebody says, I don't want it, to again forcefully say that, their mind is already set, it's logged in. If you put in somebody, if you put yourself in their shoes, if I don't want, why is this person pestering? It's a free country. I want to do why are you saying it? So when you push more and more, they are reinforcing their decision of not to take a book, or not to come to the temple, or not to accept prasadam. So just tactfully just say no, I don't want to. Okay, thank you, have a nice day. That person says, oh, this person is nice. And I'll tell you one thing. Oh yeah, you're right. I don't want to waste your time. Thank you. You're like, really? Was I thought not that important that they should waste time on me? And maybe I did something wrong. Maybe who might change my mind by being gentle with them and not pushing. But if you push them, guaranteed, many cases happened in our temple. Somehow the devotees got over enthusiastic. They gave a Bhagavatam set, and there are so many returns. Like, I don't want this. That time I couldn't say no. I was hesitant, whatever be it, and now I don't want it. So you can see how that is one thing, to walk away and judge the situation. And for the family members, there are certain red lines that we cannot cross, and this is how we are. We can adjust accordingly. Other things we can adjust. Or you have faith in Shiva, okay, and then we can have a spirited debate without being angry or hateful of each other. You can have a spirited debate in the open mind. If not, then you have your faith, I have mine faith. Let's agree to disagree, kind of. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jambavati.
I don't have a question. I just had a reflection that I really liked. I think this is a takeaway for life. For me, when you said that we are here to major in major things and not major in minor things, and that is, I think, going to be very helpful in dealing with material life situations. And it's just like very like the core of how you should lead life is you just remember that you're here to major, and the major thing is advancing in Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's truly delightful to get that reflection back. Shamchandra Prabhu.
No, Mataji told very nicely, Prabhu. That's what I just want to appreciate.
All right, thank you.
That's a very nice point from my side also, but I couldn't express. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's Krishna.
I have a question about I think it was 10th or 11th rule, which was like rigidly give up association of non-devotees. I think personally that's kind of difficult right now. Like working, friends, family, like, so how do we do it?
Thank you. I'm glad you brought it up. In fact, we will come across statements in Bhagavatam or in Srila Prabhupada's books where to the point that it is better to stay in a cave with snakes and alligators than to mingle with devotees, or very extreme statements like that. And given the fact that in the modern context, especially ISKCON was based on a commune of full-time devotees, not much interaction when Prabhupada came in 70s and 80s and even 90s, a little bit early 90s. But after that, it grew to be a congregation-based rather than temple-based societies. So we work, as you mentioned, we have colleagues, we have work, we have relatives, we have so many people that we deal on a daily basis who are not devotees. And how do we rigidly give up the company of non-devotees is an excellent question. The answer is this. We need to make sure that we don't become very intimate with the non-devotees in terms of opening our heart. We have to work with them, definitely we have to, and respect them. But intimacy in terms of guhyamakhyati means exchanging in confidence and asking in confidence, that should not be something that we should do on a regular basis with non-devotees, unless you have to have a medical situation where you have to have professional help from a mental health professional, for example, or something to that effect. By and large, we should do our work, but not be too much intimate. And I'll tell you why. It is not because, oh my God, they are non-devotees, they are negative people, and they're bad people. No, that's not the point. The point here is, I'll give a simple example. If you have a colleague who has happy hour every evening, a nice person, but happy hour every evening. You go tell them, this is my problem, I'm frustrated. They'll say, I know the solution to your problem. You should join me in the happy hour. That's how I deal with my problems. It is not being malevolent or being bad or evil or wishing bad for you. Their level of understanding of solving problems is to forget it by consuming alcohol. And they will mention that to you. So this is where you can see how intimacy has to be restricted to make sure that we do our business, but at the same time, we have those spirited exchange or confidential talks with devotees mainly. Is that helpful? Okay. Yeah, because I can be really humorous. You go to the office and then you have your cube, but then you made sure that your cube is completely caged. Because it's mentioned in the Shastra, it's better to live in the cage than to need. And your boss comes, hey, what's happening? You're a non-devotee, stay away from me. You won't have that cage for long. Or the cube for long. So there's the practical aspect of it. And the last thing, think about it. you have to go to a doctor, and then you're suffering and you acutely need some medical attention. You can ask, oh, are you a devotee or a non-devotee? Then only you can operate on me. It doesn't work. I mean, even we have seen, famous sannyasis in ISKCON getting operated by the quote-unquote non-devotees. And so there is I'm intermingling. It's most intimate intermingling that I'm giving my life into your hands when you perform surgery. I don't even know. So there has to be a practical balancing versus, having that kind of relationship. Is that helpful? All right, we are 10:43. We are over time. Smita Mataji, you have question? That's the last question before
Yes,
we...
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have two questions. One is, how do we deal with, suppose we have elderly people in the house in place of, their father figures, and then they comment on our practices, say, for example, on chanting or our deity worship, and then they are not willing to accept because their age or whatever the factors are. So how do we deal with that, Prabhu?
Please do your own thing and try to tune out as much, but it becomes really negative and discouraging and disheartening. Then it's frank to have a talk saying that, this is what I do, and I think, frankly, your discouragement is now getting on my nerves, it's getting under my skin, so, maybe there is something we need to adjust if you want to have a harmonious relationship. And seeing your firmness, they usually back off, unless in some very extraordinarily extreme cases. Is that helpful, Mata?
Yes, Prabhu. I mean, in my situation, I pretty much just kept quiet, and then I just continued to do what I did. But then it was still disrespectful to not reply back with my firmness. So that's what I had the question on, how do we react in such situations?
It's unfortunately generational expectations, Mataji. We can't change that. That's okay.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And then my second question is, around the same thing, like if, we are around non-devotees for the most part, when we suppose our family members are not into devotional practices yet. And, sometimes people invite us over to their homes to have meals with them and things like that. And they are non-devotees, still meat eaters and stuff like that. So it was very hard for me to not say no to so many of the family members, all of them at once. So it kind of created a negative thought about what we are doing in the way we practice. So how do we manage that also, Prabhuji?
It's individual, Mataji, in terms of who we say no to. So for some people it is easy to say no. For some people it is hard to say no. But then the expectation is that if you want us to come and eat, then we have certain practices, and it might be too much for you, so we would skip. But if you really, they say no, absolutely insist, then you should say that, this is our conditions and you need to offer food to the Lord. So in that sense, at least if they are amenable to your suggestion, they are doing some sukruti. One day they are actually cooking without and offering it to the Lord, so it's helping them as well. So a compassionate view on others, at the same time, being very firm about my own principles will help. And usually people see it, Mataji. People will be knowing your intentions, even though they are quote-unquote non-devotees. They are human beings. They can understand your intentions as well.
Okay. So it's not, basically we just have to say what our expectations are, and that should be good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Sure. You cannot, you can be as firm, or based on the culture background, you can be as firm and as precise, or a little bit more relaxed. It depends. Here is the firmness. You cannot cook in the same vessel. It can go really extreme, or you cannot. You need to clean out your whole fridge and put the only thing. It can go very extreme, and it can go, and then it can go on this side as well. So we maintain the middle ground as far as possible.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. If there is nothing else, we'll stop here. I'm sorry we went over time, but there were so many good questions. And the practical aspects of devotional service is what we are here to discuss. Otherwise, they will remain in the books and we will remain apart from the books. But somewhere there has to be a stage where I'm living by the books, and then, advanced Uttamadhikaris, they are living in the books, and they are non-different. Their whole behavior is like, book Bhagavata is what they are aspiring for. So as we learn, we try to practice, then we try to move in that direction. Thank you so much for your time. It's been truly a pleasure. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time, correct? Yes, before the Janmashtami. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyascha.
Thank you, Prabhu, so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank
Hare
you so
Krishna.
much.
Thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.